We have so much to get to, and we're going to touch on all of that. I really, first of all, we just appreciate having you for this hour that we get with you tonight. I know there are so many people who are so excited to hear from you on this call. So we want to get straight into it. We have a lot to get to. And I think, some people who may not necessarily know the full backstory. And one of my favorite anecdotes when I was reading about you is from when you were 11 years old and your mom was picking you up from a free tennis lesson, and you said to her, I am going to be number one in the world. And I like that is the premonition of a lifetime, right? Like at 11 years old to have that thought. So I just, of course, that's true. I'm assuming after the research, but your mom apparently was really nice about it. She said, yeah, you got homework, you got piano practice, you could be, number one in the world later. So I want to start with what you remember from the first time that you picked up a tennis racket. What are your first memories of the game?
Well, first I grew up in team sports. Basketball was my favorite. I played volleyball. Later, I played soccer in junior high school, which would now be middle school for most kids. I played all team sports, volleyball, everything was team. I love basketball. My dad was a really good basketball player and he could shoot 100 in a row. I would feed him the ball and he would go and out, and he'd shoot. And he was asked to be in the new leagues. They were starting the NBA back in the late 40s. He'd just come out of World War II. He'd been in the Navy and they did ask him to try out and he did not because I was already born and that generation was very risk adverse. And of course, there was no money in the game yet. So he became a firefighter. So it's amazing how he thought of it as security. And yet every other day he'd go to work. We didn't know if he'd come home because he's a firefighter. We never knew. So, but he loved what he did. And we loved also to go to the fire station and all that. But I only played because Susan Williams asked me to play in 5th grade. She goes, do you want to play tennis? I go, what's that? What do you do? She said, you run, jump, and hit a ball. I said, I'll try it. So we hit at her country club, but I figured that's nice, but I'm not going to be able to play at a country club. So if Susan wants to play, I'll play with her. But then we played softball on a softball team and they said, oh, they give free instruction here at the park every Tuesday from Clyde Walker. So because I had free access and free instruction, free coaching, I was able to pursue my dream. And the second time I picked up a racket with Clyde at Houghton Park, that's what you saw in the film. They went right back to Houghton Park. And I knew after that, when my mom did pick me up, I go, Mom, I found what I want to do with my life. I want to be the number one tennis player in the world. And I was jumping up and down on the car seat. And of course, we're not supposed to do that. And then I have a younger brother, Randy Moffett. Moffat's our birth name. And he became a professional baseball player. He played 12 years in the major leagues, and 10 of those he played for the San Francisco Giants. He was a relief pitcher. He had a very good slider. Kept the ball low. So they couldn't, they kept it low when they hit it. So that was good. So we were able to do our dreams because we had free access and free coaching. And that's why I'm so big on having, really strong park and rec programs and local programs for people.
Yeah, access is so important. And in some communities, it's not there.
It isn't. You're correct.
If we just talk about the numbers, because your career is a storied career. You have 39 Grand Slam titles. You have 20 career titles at Wimbledon. I mean, we could just go down the list. But when I think about the people who are on this call, we have people from all walks of life. We have your student athletes. We have faculty. We have staff. We have, those of us who are alumni and retired athletes, if you will. So when you think back to the values that defined you early on in your life, as you first became an athlete, and then how they've evolved over time. What do you think the things that have been constant are? What are the things that have defined you all along?
Well, I think my parents, I got lucky. I have 2 parents. I have a mom and dad that lived well into their 80s and one into their late 80s and one into their 90s. I think they had a very strong relationship and they were good to each other. And I think my brother and I, seeing how they treated each other was huge. And they always talked about respect. My dad was a great life coach. He didn't realize it, but he was, looking back particularly, because he was the type of guy that would say, do you really want to be number one? And I say, yes, Daddy. And this is I'm about 12ish. And he goes, well, it's really going to be a lot of heartbreak along the way for you to try. And I know you're trying to be the best right now in Long Beach and then Southern California. And then you go nationally and then you go worldwide. And the competition will get better and better and better as you go up the ranks. And so are you willing to go through this with all the hard knocks you're probably going to have to endure? I go, yes, Dad, I'm ready to go. Of course, I was young. You don't realize that he was very wise in how he helped. And also my parents never asked my brother and me if we won when we walked in the door or first saw them. And I think that was huge. So many parents, the first thing out of the, did you win? Did you win?
Right.
And my parents never did that. And they gave us space. And I think giving us space was really important. And they didn't care for any good. As long as we gave it our best, absolutely, you give 100% in whatever you do. Respect, be kind, be honest, very, very old fashioned, very strict, but very warm people. But I like the fact they gave us strong boundaries. I think it helped my brother and me through life, what they gave us. So there's a lot of great things. And I noticed you have Fly Higher there. And it's about integrity, I think. And everything starts with integrity, particularly business. And you'll find out a lot of people don't have it. And it's very important to find others in your life that have integrity.
Well, you mentioned Fly Higher, and that is the tagline, for Emory Athletics, and it's really similar to what you have going on at the Billie Jean King Leadership Initiative. The tagline: Lift, Learn, Lead. Talk a little bit about that. And I think, one of the purposes that we want to hit here is talking about inclusive leadership and what that looks like today. So talk a little bit about your initiative and how that jives with inclusive.
We actually changed it. Somebody wrote Lift, Learn. Anyway, I started with Listen, Learn, Lead. I changed the first word to listen.
So why the change? Why listen?
Because I think you first have to listen and actively listen, not just listen, actively listen. And listen to people, and also get comfortable having uncomfortable discussions. Like, I always think it's important for me to talk to people who don't look like me, who don't have the same religion, who come from a different place than I do, and to really listen. And with Black Lives Matter, we're finally really, for the first time, hearing the truth of Black people. I have friends who are Black, and they're finally just gushing with their feelings and what they really have been feeling all these years. And I've asked for them to tell me through the years. They would not do it in the past, and now they are. And so that's been a huge gift to me and to others, that I'm hearing their truth, the emotion behind it, the sadness, the anger, all the things that go into this, their joys. But I want to hear people's stories, because stories are really powerful, and they also teach us all the time. So I am thrilled with that. So with our leadership, we go to companies and we really are trying to get equal pay for equal work and have inclusion. In fact, we help other companies, like we've worked with Salesforce, we've worked with Starbucks, we're working with other companies right now with their programs for for the excuse me, for diversity and equity and inclusion. So we're really working with different companies on that. That's what we do. We go into different companies. Another thing is we try to go to CEOs, because CEOs can change things very, very quickly. In fact, overnight, if they want to. Let's say they're not getting equal pay for equal work. If they truly want to change the workplace, they can definitely change that overnight and say, we're just going to give equal pay for equal work. Also, they need to, we try to get them to think about inclusion, unconscious bias, all the things that we know go on in our daily lives. And that's why we'll keep trying to do that. And then we raise money a lot of times to give. We raised $1 million quickly during COVID to give back out to local organizations that support women of color, because they were getting the least amount of money. They were in the toughest situation, especially if they're single mothers. So we quickly got the money back out there. And those are the kinds of things we're constantly doing to help others and to fight for inclusion. And it all comes from an epiphany I had at 12 years old. Remember, I came from team sports. And so I'm into tennis 1 year. And I was sitting at the Los Angeles Tennis Club, which is where the mecca of Southern California tennis, where all the big tournaments were played. And I was daydreaming, and I started thinking about my sport, and everybody in my sport wore white shoes, white clothes, played with white balls. And I thought about, you know what? Everyone's white. And I thought to myself, where's everybody else? Where is everybody else? And that was the day I promised myself, if I could be number one, maybe, just maybe I could make this world a better place and have, strive towards equality. And that's why ever since I was 12, that's been my goal in my life. It's what I could do off the court, not just on the court. But I knew I was really lucky to have tennis because I knew it was played all over the world. And so I thought, wow, this is an opportunity that very few people can dream about. And I didn't know if I was going to make it. I was scared. You get scared. You don't know if you're going to make it. You got to get your heart set on something, and it doesn't always pan out a lot of times. So, but I really wanted to have that opportunity. And I'm luckily, God gave me the ability and my brother the ability, and we worked very hard, and we were able to, have our dreams. And I've been able to continue my dream of championing equality, inclusion, all the right things to make this world a better place, because it does make the world a better place.
Well, you are certainly doing the hard work and the good work. That is for sure. I think for people who may not know your story all that well, we have to talk about the battle of the sexes and your match against Bobby Riggs. When I was reading about it and thinking about it, I couldn't help but think that it was sort of like your life's work in a microcosm. It kind of encapsulated all the things that you fight for, that you push for now. It really is. And it was, obviously it was the most watched televised tennis match in history. And between that and Title IX, when you look back on that period of time, it was really, that was when people started to pay attention and take notice of women. So before you won it, though, I have to think that the pressure surrounding it had to be insurmountable, right? Like what it actually meant to beat him. It wasn't just a match. And clearly everyone was watching. So describe that moment in history, and then describe how you personally felt.
Well, first of all, I'll set the scene for all the young ones there, because it's hilarious.
It's a little earlier than your time.
It's for them. It's not hilarious for me, but it's hilarious now looking back. But we got the portable telephone in 1973. It weighed 2.5 pounds, and you could get 30 minutes, but it took 30 whole minutes, but it took 10 hours of charging. Okay. Ooh. We didn't even have fax. We're just going to touch tone telephone. Okay. Ooh. So all of our news came on television, just like what you do today, and newspapers. That was it. So everything was delayed to find out, except for television. It started to do more live things. And so you have to put that in perspective. So there was total focus on this match. Over 90 million people back in 73. There weren't as many people on Earth then as there are now. We're almost up to 10 billion, I think. I think there was like 3 or 4 billion then. So this was huge. But people have to understand Title IX had just been passed the year before in 1972. And that was a huge happening. Before 1972, this was not about sports, by the way. Everybody thinks it's a sports. Title IX is about sports. Title IX is about education. Before 1972, they had classroom quotas. If you want to be a doctor and you're a woman and you want to go to Harvard, they only allowed 5% of the class to be women. So that's why we didn't have any women doctors and lawyers. It was all these quotas. So it was terrible. So when Title IX came, and a lot of people don't even know about Title IX, but Title IX basically said that any federal funds that your private or public high school, college, or university receives for the first time ever in history, you're going to have to spend it equally on men and women. And so what happened, if you follow the money back to those days, you'll see all these single gender schools becoming co-ed schools quickly, because they want that federal money. So that's what happened. Now, as far as athletic scholarships, it was the first time, because they had the word activity, education and activities, 37 words is Title IX. So I knew when I played Bobby how important this match was for me personally. It was more about bringing people together, not actually dividing them. And Bobby had followed me around for 2 years. He's one of my idols. He won the Triple Crown at Wimbledon. During World War II, he'd been deprived of the attention he deserved. I knew all about him. He knew nothing about me, which is very common. The dominant sector knows very little about the non-dominant, but the non-dominant knows a lot about the people in power. Okay, because we have to. We got to navigate all the time when you're around power to survive. So I knew a lot about him. He knew nothing about me. I don't think he did. Maybe he knew a little. But anyway, it was very important for me to win because we're only in our 3rd year of professional women's tennis. It's a long story how we got there, actually, because in 1968, when tennis went professional, and Rod Laver got a check for winning Wimbledon for 2,000 pounds, and I got one for 750 pounds. I went, oh no, we're not getting the same. So I thought, okay, that's a challenge. And then what started to happen, and my former husband told me this, he said, you know, when you go pro, the men will get rid of you. I go, no, they won't. They're my friends. And he goes, they will get rid of you. Okay. And he was right. And I was wrong. They thought we should not play, should not get paid. So from 68 to 70, we were losing tournaments like crazy. And when we did play, the ratio of prize money was like 12-1, 8-1. So we weren't making very much, and there were fewer and fewer places to play. So in 1970, 9 of us signed a $1 contract. We'd had it with Gladys Hellman, who is the publisher of World Tennis Magazine. And that is the birth of women's professional tennis the way you know it today. So that was 1970, September 23rd. Okay, so you fast forward, now we had Title IX in 72. We're in our 3rd year of our tour. I just founded the WTA, which is the union or the association for women. I wanted the men and women to be together. They said, no, get lost. So we had to do our own. That was very disappointing for me. I still think we should be together. I think we're so much more powerful together on and off the court. What can we do for the world off the court? So anyway, it was very disappointing. So I played Bobby, and I knew I had to win because for Title IX to keep that going, because there was already lawsuits against it, trying to weaken it. So I knew I had to win for that. I knew I had to win for women's tennis, and I knew the exposure of our match would help tennis as well. And what happened after that match, you could not get on a tennis court after that match. That is probably the most important thing to have happened to tennis, to get more people to play. And that's where we had the boom. In the 70s, tennis just exponentially just went sky high. And it was because it was exciting, it was early, it was pro. Then you got Chris Evert, Martina Navratilova, who were unbelievable. They had the best rivalry ever in the history of our sport. They were great for women's tennis. We did the right things. A lot of times we did not play the majors. My former husband on Larry King, no, not that Larry King. He and I owned tournaments with others because we didn't have money, but he'd gone to University of California, Berkeley Law School. So he had a law degree, was very helpful in helping us get the association formed with the bylaws and everything. But we own tournaments. So I've been on both sides. I've been a player, I'm a business person, and also part owner of a lot of other things now. The Dodgers, the Sparks, Angel City FC, Philadelphia Freedom's tennis team. So I've always put my money where my mouth is, and it's proved to be great. It's been an amazing journey taking those risks. I am very good about taking risks. Other people in my life are not. I mean, you'll know if you are or you're not out there, but I have the stomach for it. You know, I do. I don't know why. I've always been that way, and I'm willing to go for it. But beating Bobby was vital, but it really helped tennis to just go crazy after that. And it helped the men's tour, helped the women's. And it's, I'm glad I won. That's all. I'm really happy I won. I kept thinking before the match, if I lose this match, the rest of my life, I'll say, oh, that's that girl that lost to that guy. They won't remember our names. They won't remember our names or anything, but except now we're in the 4th, 5th generation since then. So it's different. You know, grandparents, great grandparents can talk about it. So it's pretty funny.
You know, you mentioned the original 9 and the $1 contracts, and The original nine, for those who don't know, are going to be inducted into the International Tennis Hall of Fame this summer, which is super cool. So I wonder, if you could look back and think about the impact that the original nine had. What kind of impact have they had so far? And I mean, obviously it's still going.
Well,
It's an
I'll give
important
you,
part of sports history.
I'll give you an example. It's probably for women's tennis, the most important thing that ever happened. Because without us, and we were really willing to give up our careers for that move. I've been asking the USTA, which is the national governing body, to do a tour, and they wouldn't do it. So I called the president about 2 minutes before we signed that $1 contract to ask one last time, would you do it? And he said no, but just let's put it in perspective. I told Larry in December of 70, next year I want to win $100,000, which was more money than Johnny Bench, or probably more than all the male athletes, except maybe a very few at the very top. Maybe Willie Mays made more. And I said, if I can make money, people will start paying attention to our tour. It's about killed me, but I got over 100,000 in the last tournament that I played in October, from January to October. And that was huge. But then in 76, Chris Evert made $1 million. And now Serena, this is just the very top player, but it gives you an idea. If you just go down, it's going to be more for everyone. Serena's at 93 million, and she'll be at, I don't know how long she'll keep playing, but she probably could be at 100 million. And Roger Federer's already at 100 and, I don't know, I haven't looked lately, about 130 million, I think. So, but they're right at the top, but that means everybody else is making more. Like this year at the Australian first round losers made over $100,000. So women's tennis were the leaders in women's sports because of 1970 with the original nine. We also, we have always made the most money off the court compared to any other woman athlete. We were 10 for 10 2 years ago in Forbes, and then we're 9 out of 10. But if that's just giving you indications of what that decision for us to give up our careers in 1970 for the future. And here's the 3 things we thought about before we signed this $1 contract. That any girl in this world, if she's good enough, would have a place to play or compete. Number 2, she'd be finally appreciated for her accomplishments, not only her looks. And number 3, most importantly, because you have to remember, as amateurs, we made $14 a day. We were able to make a living playing what we love to play. We had the passion to play. So we were so lucky we could make our living. We were the 9 of us, there's Rosie Casals, Nancy Ritchie, you'll have to look them up, but Peaches Barkowitz, 2 Australians were in there, Judy Tagart Dalton and Carrie Melville Reed, Christy Pigeon, who'd gone to Mills College, she's a feminist, and it's lefty, good serve, but anyway, we were willing to give it all up, and we were young, we're in our 20s. We weren't in our 30s, we're in our 20s. We're right in the middle of our best years. So I am so happy we did that. I mean, we had the courage to do that. Everybody thought we were foolish. We did not get a lot of nice pats on the back for that. We're so happy. And Sam, we're the first group ever to be inducted. They don't usually do groups. They only do individuals. So we are, or doubles partners, but we are the first group ever to be inducted to the International Tennis Hall of Fame. We are so excited. I'm so glad that they're recognizing what we did. But the reason, there's tournaments all over the world. The reason women get paid is because of that moment in history.
It's so true. And, these are still conversations and fights that we're having to this day. You talked about Serena quickly, and there's this debate about, whether or not Serena Williams is the best athlete of all time. And then there's, the U.S. women's national soccer team is still fighting for equal pay. That's been a huge topic.
The soccer team.
Yeah.
A long road, but they've got to sit down and figure it out together. I don't know if they're sitting down yet. Do you know, Sam?
I'm not sure.
I don't think they are. I've been trying to find out before we did this tonight, even been talking, finding out from Julie Foudy.
Info.
Still, I was trying to get from Julie Foudy, who was the captain in '99 when they had that famous win at the Rose Bowl, over 90,000 people. It's still the biggest crowd ever for women's sports. And then, of course, in '99, women won so many gold medals. And I always call 96. Did I say 96 was the Olympics? And I always call that the Title IX Olympics, because that was 24 years later. And we finally had the talent pool to win gold. And that's because of Title IX. The women got athletic scholarships, they got the coaching, they got the competition, and all the things they needed to win at the 96 Olympics.
Yeah, it's so true. And you know, you're right. They're going to be fighting this fight for probably years, you know.
It's tough. It's tough when you're second in the marketplace after hundreds of years of the guys playing soccer. Just think about it. Baseball's over 150 years. NFL's over 100 years. The NBA started in the late 40s. It's getting up there. It's 80 years. I'd have to look up. But we need NHLs, hockey. You know, the women still don't have a league in hockey. Also, we need women of color. I tell the hockey players, you guys, if we ever get this league, because we're helping them too. We help a lot in other sports. I don't know if you know that. We've helped soccer. We've helped behind this. We do all, of course, now it's not behind the scenes that I'm talking about it, but we try to do most of whatever we do behind the scenes. We've helped the hockey with the Dream Gap tour they're doing, because we really want them to have a league. But as I told them, if you do this, you're going to have to start getting girls of color. You've got to work hard to be, to have inclusion. Because some of these sports started a certain way, and that's why. It's the same as the WNBA and the NBA. There's so many women of color because of how it got started. It's the culture. It's easy. It's in the cities. It's urban. It's so we have to break down sports that aren't as inclusive. It's going to take longer, but it's possible.
Yeah, so that's really the next phase of this, you think?
Well, look at Sue Bird. Always, she played with the Storm and won big. She always teases everybody. Well, basketball, we have inclusion. We've got everybody playing, but look at those soccer girls. They're all suburban white girls. She's always teasing, Rapinoe, who she's engaged to. So it's like pretty funny. But the point is, we all have to fight for inclusion, particularly when our sports don't have it, because we do have a unique opportunity because we have a platform. And the coaches out there tonight, you have an amazing job in that. Look how you shape the life of all these student athletes. My teachers and my coaches made all the difference in the world to me. They shaped my life. I had 4 teachers in school. I had Mrs. Hunter in 3rd, Mr. Bramrick in 6th, Mr. May in 9th, Mrs. Johnson in 12th. I had 2 men, 2 women. I had coaches. Alice Marble coached me, all-time great. In fact, she won mixed doubles with Bobby Riggs, which is even more ironic. She's one of the all-time greats. She and Don Budge were the big deals during the 30s, during the golden age of sports, during the Depression. And so all these people, but I Merv Rose in Australia, the Australian guys made me number 1. They really did. They finished. They're the ones that made me end up being number 1 when I went down to Australia. I quit college and went down to Australia. So, and I working out with Rod Laver, Ken Rosewall, all those guys, Margaret Court, all of us, Robin, all of us out on the court, just slugging it out. But they made the difference. So all these people championing, and so all the coaches that are listening, I don't think you really know, and the teachers, I don't think you really know what an impact you've really made on all the people you've come in contact with, because you've made such a big difference in my life. And I know I've listened to other kids and of all other people of all ages and their teachers, their coaches. I mean, without you, we wouldn't make it. We wouldn't have made it. We wouldn't have improved like we have. And also as a life coach.
Yeah. I can think back to so many teachers who have had a lasting impact on me, even from early elementary school. Right.
Who was your favorite teacher?
Oh my gosh. My favorite teacher was my 2nd grade teacher. I was living in San Francisco. I was there for 1 year, and she was like the light of my life. She was amazing. Miss Dobey. I still loved her to this day.
Everybody everyone out there will start naming mom. So tonight's a grateful night to be a grateful, because I do a grateful list every morning when I'm waking up for all the people.
Really? What do you do?
Every morning I do that. Yeah. Before I wake up, get out of bed, I just kind of, as I'm waking up, I start thanking everyone. And and it really helps me start the day right. And particularly during COVID, you know, and then we go out on the balcony and I hit the pot every night at 7. I haven't lately, it's everyone stopped. But in the beginning for months, we just go boom, boom, boom,
Yeah.
you know, to thank the, you know, the frontline workers and all they go through. Oh man, it's really rough. So anybody out there that, and I hope all your families are okay, because I know COVID's been just terrible for people. It's been
Yeah.
horrible.
The
And for
athletes
students
all
and for
dealing,
the athletes, it's been really rough.
yeah, not being able to practice. You know, I know for
Right.
the girls who are on this call, you know, they weren't able to be on the field pretty much all fall, and they're just now allowed to practice in small groups. So it has been tough on athletes. And, you know, there are young men and women on this call who are, you know, 18, 21. And then obviously we have our alumni, we have our coaches. We won't talk about the ages, but if you could walk it back, I'm curious, if you could walk it back and talk to yourself at age 18, you know, for some of these kids who are freshmen, or, you know, 20 as you're halfway through, or 25 when you've just graduated, what's one thing that you would tell yourself at that age?
I would tell myself everything's going to be okay. You just like, it's all right. I think all of us lack confidence at times and wondering what's going to happen. And also champions adjust, you know, like you may not become the athlete you wanted to be, you may not become whatever, but there's always something else. And every single person has a strength, has a blessing. Every single one of you has something that's special. And I want you to think about it. And as an athlete, the one thing you learn, one of the many things really, is that you play to your strengths. And champions always practice their strengths. You know, there's this saying out there, oh, we got to work on my mistakes and work on all my weaknesses and all this. You do, but always emphasize and do this every day is practice your strengths first and then practice the other, because, or else you figure it out. You might want to do it last, but whatever works for you. But I really think people don't realize enough. First of all, think about who they are and what makes them tick. You know, if you're tall and not very quick, you're gonna have, you know, your serve is important. The first strike of the ball is important. If you're a scrambler, then you know you're going to give the other guy fits because you can run more balls down. You know, those are the things you might have to work a little harder on your power. You know, we're all so different, but I think it's just you know, enjoy what you have right now and try to think about, and also adjust. Like I was watching the players in the Australian that were in quarantine for 2 weeks, and they put these they're in the hotel, and they put these mattresses up in front of their doors, and they're practicing their serve. They're sitting on a chair because if you throw the ball too high, they're gonna hit the ceiling. And then someone like Jen Brady was saying what she did, and I thought, this is so smart. This is what I was thinking I would have done, is that she worked on the mental and emotional side of her game. Everyone says mental, but I think it's mental and emotional. Mental is what you think, emotional is what you feel. And the best players in the world are strongest in the emotional arena. That's where they're the strongest. It's those who believe when they're down match point, or those who believe that they're down 30, 40. In tennis, it means you're almost game point. That you, for some, you know, you get in the now and you focus and you believe when you throw the serve's going to go in, the ball's going to go in. You've got to believe in yourself. It's okay. And if you come up short, it's okay. But you've got no chance the other way. Oh, I can't do this. I don't deserve this. And a lot of people don't think they deserve things. When you really get deep into their emotional part of them, and you do deserve it. You deserve the best that life has to offer. Okay. And don't ever forget it. Do not let one other person tell you anything differently. You, all of us, deserve the very best that life has to offer out there. And Emory obviously is one of those offerings of gratitude, because to have an education at Emory is really a privilege.
I wish I could just, you know, mentally record everything you said in that last 2 minutes and play it for my gratitude practice in the morning, because that
Well,
was
I hope they're
everything I need
recording.
to hear.
I hope they're recording this. I hope they're recording this.
Hopefully they're recording it so we can all play it back.
They can get whatever they need. Go ahead and use it, whatever you need.
Yeah, exactly. You know, I know we want to get to some student questions, and I'm trying to be mindful of the time, but I just, you know, one thing I noticed about you when I watched you back and I listened to you, even in that video, you know, at the top, you sound so self-assured and confident, but I could imagine that you probably didn't always
Oh
feel.
no.
So where were some times that you maybe struggled with your identity and your purpose, and how did you work through it?
Identity and purpose. Boy, did you hit that on the nail. First of all, I had years and years of challenges with my sexuality. So I would never, it was just a nightmare. I didn't know who I was. You know, am I gay? Am I bisexual? I married Larry. I thought, I loved him, totally in love with him, straight, didn't, I married him in good faith, everything. And then I started to have challenges in that area. And I didn't feel comfortable about being gay until I was 51. I did not feel comfortable in my own skin. And then obviously trying to get to the top in tennis with these other challenges. I've written a book. It's going to be coming out. You can read all the warts, read about all the warts and all the tough stuff in there, because no one's life is easy. I mean, I think that's another thing. If you think it is, life is difficult. So I think it's paradoxical in that life is difficult, then it becomes easier if I accept that life is difficult. That helped me a lot. And I know it's a paradox, but it works. At least it worked for me. Maybe that'll help somebody. I don't know. And then obviously I want to be number one in the world, and still wanted to fight for equality at the same time, on and off the court. You can imagine how many meetings we had trying to get the original 9. And then after that, I said to everyone, then we had 2 tours for a while, which I didn't even get into. That's a whole nother discussion. And then by the beginning of 73, we made amends, but I kept telling our group that we had to have a union. And so we finally got the WTA, but these things were not easy. We had 4 a.m. meetings. We stayed up. I averaged about 4 hours of sleep a night in the early 70s. And then also when I'm trying to figure out my sexuality, that when people at the tour level, the sponsors told me I could never talk about it, or we wouldn't have a tour. That was a lot of pressure. So that was tough, and all those type of things. But shame-based things don't work. If you're ashamed of something, try to work through it. And I'm a huge believer in going to psychotherapy. It really helped my life. It's helped me grow. It's helped me understand myself, but also understand others better, to have more compassion for others, more empathy than ever. And I think it's not an easy road. It's just not.
Yeah, I think that message is going to hit so close to home for so many people on here, and hopefully they take that and put it to work outside of this. So I want to make sure that we get to some student questions, because we have some really good ones. So I just all them up a little bit. Let's see, one at a time. So I want to start with Isabel Gonzalez Rico. Mm-hmm. Ask your question, Isabel.
Hello, Mrs. King. Thank you for your time tonight. You're such an inspiration to so many of us. I'm a senior on the tennis team studying applied mathematics and statistics, and I was wondering if there is a motto that inspires your everyday life.
I have too many. I always just give it everything you've got, but I mean, I don't know if somebody else is going to ask me this question. They probably are. But I think it's really important. Well, first of all, are you or where you want to be? Do you know what you're going to do outside of college?
Yeah, I'm going to grad school, and then I will be a data analyst.
Well, we need that. We get tons of it now. Boy, I wish you had been around when I was playing. I needed you. I love this stuff. No, but I like it. Some kids don't like it. I love it. I'm just the wrong age, but that's great. You're going to do that with your life. My motto is, well, I always say go for it. So, because I used to go to net. I'm an aggressive player. Like, what's the worst thing going to happen? You can just, I tell you what, it's feedback, not failure is a good one, because everything is feedback. And I don't like it when people say, oh, I learned more when I fail. No, I think you win more when you win. I want to know why you win. When you feel like you won, why did you win? That's what makes greatness. Not, oh, I lost because of that. And you do have to know that. But don't look at anything as failure. It's feedback. If you if you hit the shot and it goes in, that's feedback. If you hit the shot and it's out, it's feedback. But our mind's like a computer. So what I would do is I go, okay, I know why I missed it. So I would correct it in my mind's eye. And then I would delete, like on a computer, I would delete the one that was out. I would delete it. But when the ball was in and I would analyze that, I would put, I'd hit the, what button, it's in there, and I'd keep it. Keep hold of the things you do well, and to keep learning how you win. Okay. Don't keep thinking about, oh, you learn from everything, but don't look at it as failure. Look at it as feedback in life. I don't know if that'll help or not.
Yes, thank you so much.
Sure. Thanks, Isabel.
I think that really goes back to that mental plus emotional strength that you were talking about before, learning what to accept and what to internalize.
It's just, you got, yes. I have other things. I mean, I have so many sayings. I don't even know where to start.
Send us a list. We'll just have to have a list of all of your favorite life sayings and mottos. Okay, our next question comes from Carlos Monteagudo, and I hope I said your name right, Carlos. I wrote it down. I think I got it.
Yeah, that was awesome. Hi, Ms. King. First of all, thank you so much for being here.
You can call me Billie.
It's truly an honor.
Thank you.
I'm a senior on the swim team studying chemistry. And my question for you, because I know I can speak for my fellow athletes when I say that we're going through a very uncertain time. So I was hoping that, in your time, when you've been through uncertainty, what motivated you to get through that?
Well, I would always try to assess, first of all, what is. And with COVID, you could not be in the pool as much, right? Or with your team. Could you be in the pool at all by yourself? Or how do they do that? How did they let you do that?
We found pools every now and then, but now we are all back
But you
together.
couldn't compete. You couldn't compete, right? So I would take that time and work on my emotional and mental a lot more. I would work on my strength and conditioning more. I would think of what can I do during this COVID time? How can it make me at least maintain and maybe in some ways even get better? So when I go back, and I'm big on visualization. That's my whole life. Everything was visualization, my goals, and then come back and figure out the details to get there. But I would think, okay, what could I do to give myself an edge when I come back? When I come back, I want to be more than ready. I want to be in the best physical shape I can be. I want to work on my emotional and mental side. I'm going to work on it daily. I mean, people forget we work all day, but they don't give any time to the emotional office at all. And I think it's important to give your time, and I think meditation is important. I think all those things are important. And so I don't know, what did you do during COVID?
I try to work on the fitness a little bit to try to, when we did get back, come back better.
Right. So you did work on that. Did you think about the emotional and mental part when you're actually in the water competing, where you did well, where you didn't do as well? How can I improve? So next time I get in there, I visualize myself winning, visualizing myself doing the best. And also you're a diver, right? As well, or not? Are you a diver?
I'm a swimmer.
You're a swimmer. What event?
I do the 200 butterfly.
Oh God, it's so hard. It's my arms, my shoulders are hurting just thinking about watching you. Unbelievable. I guess I would have been working on my technique if I could have out of the water. Can you work on your technique out of the water at all or not?
Yeah, there's some exercises we can do.
Did you do those?
Yeah, I tried.
Okay, well that's all I can do then. Then that's it. You're ready as you're ready as much as you can. Also, you had studies, right? Or not?
Yeah, I do.
Well, how did that go so far?
Oh, well, they happened.
It'll happen whether you do or not. You're right. Life goes on. You're right. So anyway, good luck to you. I wish all of you would tell me how you do after COVID. That'd be interesting, actually. So maybe Katie, you can help me with that.
We'll have to follow up. We have a couple more questions. Do you have time for a couple more quick questions? Billie, are you
I'm fine. Oh my God, God gave me extra energy.
Okay, good. All right. Well,
probably dying. They can leave, I guess. Yeah, they can leave. Don't leave me.
A really good question.
Don't leave Sam and me. Don't leave us.
Yeah, don't leave us. Don't leave us alone. I'm going to keep her on for the next 2 hours if you leave us. So make sure you kick us off. No, Lauren has a great question. I think you're going to like this one.
Hi, thank you so much for speaking to us today. I'm a junior, I'm on the tennis team, and I'm studying applied math and economics. My question is, in the past year and couple of weeks especially, I and many others have been struggling with a spike in anti-AAPI hate crimes since COVID started.
Yeah.
I've always advocated for the rights of people. how do you deal with the frustrations toward people who are unable to see the vision of a more equal world?
I try to sit back and visualize, where can I make a difference with all this going on? And whatever you do, don't let their hate ever suck you in so you hate. Don't ever go there. Always maintain love, and you're going to have to let go of those people sometimes, but you've got to keep trying to, first of all, make sure you're safe. You know, just concern yourself with safety more. And people, I don't know why people don't like people that are different from themselves, but I don't get it, because we all bleed red. So I keep thinking about our human hearts, our how we are as humans. But there are always going to be people like that because of the way they were brought up. But so what can you do to help and influence? Because every single person is an influencer. So what do you think you can do? What is the community doing right now? Asian American, Pacific Islanders, what are they doing? What are you thinking? I mean, what are you trying to do?
I think right now a lot of people are trying to bring awareness to what is happening, and honestly unite together. We're trying to make sure everyone's supporting everyone.
Good.
Yeah.
I think that's really important, that you support each other. It's very, very important. But the main thing is we've got to get people that don't look, you know, whatever they think that means, look like you, to embrace. We have to embrace each other. And I think it's really important not to waste your energy on negativity, and really keep thinking, how can you improve things, not let them, you know, affect you in a negative way, even though they hurt us and hurt you, obviously. But you have to keep bouncing back and keep sticking together, doing your thing, but also awareness is huge. You know, this, I don't understand. I'm with you. I don't get it. I mean, to me, we're all human, and that's the most important thing. And to be good and kind to each other, and just don't let them bring you down, is what I mean. Don't stoop to their hate and all the things that they do. Stay strong, stay loving, stay kind and good, and stick together, and make sure you're safe. That's the main thing. Safety is really important. And good luck. Keep going.
Lauren, that was such an important and timely, quite frankly,
I
question.
know, but it's so timely right now. I just cannot believe it. I watch the news sometimes, and every time I watch the news, I go, why am I doing that? Sorry.
That's okay. I know it's a lot of people.
No, but I see them, you know, pushing these elderly Asians over and just hurting them. I just don't understand it. I don't get it.
It's been difficult the past couple of weeks.
Yeah.
To watch, and you know, in a day and age, and this is a conversation for another time, but you know, in a day and age of social media and videos of everything, it just changes the way that we perceive and that we, you know, consume that information. So we'll have to talk about that another time. We have one more question for you, one more student question. This is from Pushkar Shindi.
Hello, Ms. Jean King. Sorry, my lighting's a little janky. Awesome. Before I begin, you know, I just want to reiterate, thank you so much for your time and for what you've done, not only for tennis, but for the greater struggle for equity and justice. You know, I know for me personally, and I think I speak for all of us when I say it's truly inspiring.
Well, thank you, Pushkar.
My name is Pushkar, and I'm a junior on the men's tennis team, studying chemistry and ethics. And I just had one question. You know, the court is a 36 by 78 foot microcosm of the world. What's the biggest lesson that you've taken from tennis into life?
I think one of the most things I've taken from tennis is that most important things is to stay in the present. When you win and you're in the zone, like we're in the zone, whether it's studying, whatever we're doing in our life, or playing tennis or whatever, I find that the only way I really win is when I'm been in what I call the zone, and that means in the now, in the present. And there's nothing like it, no matter what we're doing, to stay in the present. It's a gift to be able to stay in the present. And some, you know, athletes do that better than others. That's part of that, being strong emotionally and mentally. It's being able to stay in the now. And when you are in the now is when you're freer, you're not as nervous, you know, you're more positive. So I think maybe and then there's three things that Ed Woolard, since you're the last question, I want to get this in before we leave, is that there's three things that I said, Ed Woolard was the former CEO of DuPont. And he and I would talk, and I said, I want three things. And I want things about inner success, not just outer, but inner. What are the things we observe from people who we consider win in life? And here's the three things. And then it don't have to be in this order. Relationships are everything. Relationship with yourself, your faith, or whatever, your family, whatever, your loved ones, your friends, your teachers, your coaches, everything. Relationships are everything. Number two, keep learning and keep learning how to learn. Now, for your age group, that probably sounds funny. But for my age group, it sounds great. How to learn, keep learning how to learn with technology. Oh, that's fun. It's like asking an 8-year-old, like, can you help me over here? And then number three, to be a problem solver and an innovator. Problem solver and an innovator. Those seem to be the three things we kept running into, when we're observing people, talking and listening to people. So those are the three kind of main things we came up with. But I think as you go through the day, Pushkar, you might notice one of those three things are constantly coming up. I do. It's amazing. Just think about those three things. Relationships are everything. Keep learning and keep learning how to learn. You can write it down. You don't have to look at me. Relationships are everything. And then keep learning and keep learning how to learn. So it's keep learning and keep learning how to learn. Three, and this could be number one sometimes too, obviously, or two, whatever. Be a problem solver and an innovator. And those three things, I think, cover pretty much everything. We kept trying to come up with something else, and we kept going back to these three things. And I don't know, I wish I had known this when I was your age, these three things that would have helped me. And so I hope it will help you. And also Coretta Scott King said something about struggle is, let me see, I think I wrote it down someplace. Struggle is a never ending process. Freedom is never really won. You earn it and win it in every generation. You can just look under Coretta Scott King, who was obviously married to Martin Luther King Jr., but she's got some great quotes, but this is my favorite one of hers, and that it's true that struggle is a never-ending process. The struggle of us trying to make the world a better place is never ending, and then freedom is never really won, that you earn it and win it in every generation. And it's so true. It's so true. So I just think that the millennials, the Gen Zs, I think the next group's called the Alpha something. What is it called? The Alpha generation. They're going to be the ones that have lived their whole lives in the 21st century. And I just think you guys are great. You are our future. Believe in yourselves. I just love you guys. You guys are rocking. You care about our earth more. You care about inclusion the most of any generation. You care about diversity the most. You care about equity the most. So really believe in yourselves. Keep changing the world to make it a better place, like all of you are anyway. I mean, the protests have been fantastic because all of you guys are together. And when I used to see the protests in the 60s, it was only Black people. We didn't have a cell phone to mobilize quickly. We didn't have the communication that you guys have now, but keep using it the way you're using it for positive things, because you guys have got, you really are on it. You're on it. And every one of you know that you're an influencer. So keep going for it. And thank you so much for what you've given to the world already in your young ages.
That was a great question, Pushkar. And
yeah, it was great. And
really good question. And listen, if you tell an Emory kid to take notes, there are extensive notes taken. That is for sure.
Well, I see he wanted to write it down, but didn't want to be polite to me. And I didn't care if he was impolite. I want him to get the words, whatever and the reason, just so everybody understands, the reason I even did this tonight is because of Katie Chang asking me. And I have a relationship, through the years, not so much right now, but I used to with Michael Chang, her uncle, but also dad, Carl. And Carl was fantastic. I always loved Carl so much when he was on the tour. And So when she asked me, it's because of the relationship. Relationships are everything. I mean, I get asked to do a ton of things, but that because it was Katie Chang and I had a relationship and that's what made the difference. So I think, and Sam, it's been great hearing you and talking with you. You're really a star. I love it.
Thank you. It is a pleasure to talk to you, and just getting to read and learn about you, all over again is.
And what's the producer's name? Not Andrea.
Audrey. Yep.
Audrey. And I want to thank her too.
Yes. Yeah. And let me tell you, you have an open invitation. Anytime you want to come to Emory University in Atlanta, open invitation.
Yep. And would you say hi to Mary Ellen Gordon?
Yes.
Who was inducted into the International Tennis Hall of Fame. And Amy Bryant, I guess, was her coach. She's still there. So it looks like.
You were saying that she had an incredible speech.
Yes. Yeah. When she got up and spoke, I knew she was a total winner, not only on the court, but off the
And that's what counts.
And that's what you want. You want to be a champion. We all want to be a champion on and off the court in tennis, the water and swimming, the field and other sport, whatever your sport is.
Whatever sport is.
Yeah, just go for it. And thanks to all the coaches and teachers, particularly, for helping all of us be better.
Yeah, they're incredible. And, I obviously I'm a little biased. Emory University is a very special place in my heart. And I know a lot of people on this call as well. Is there anything you want to leave us with?
It's a great school.
Any little wisdom or thing you as well?
No, just thank you. I think those three things are really, I think fly higher is a great, I like that slogan, for integrity and all that. And just really, it was really, really great to join you tonight and want to thank you. And I hope I get to see some of you in the future in person.
Yes, we hope so as well. Billie,
not just on Zoom.
Yes, a pleasure, a pleasure, a pleasure. Thank you so, so much on behalf of me and Emory University and specifically the athletics program. We are just delighted to have had you. Thank you so much.
All right. Thanks, Sam.
Thank you. Y'all have a great night.
Bye-bye.